I thought that this story, called The Final Night, might be appropriate for the final night of the year, though I hope that it won't have such a disastrous outcome. The final night. I'm one of the very last of my people. By tomorrow we will have vanished from the face of the earth. I write this account in my capacity of being sacred scribe of the Auroch people. I hope against hope that my words will live on to tell our story. It's my desire that one day this account will be read by others who care about the history of our disappearance from the face of the Three Valleys. In the days when the world was simply a void, the great winged Auroch created our land of the Three Valleys. From the dust of the earth he created the grasses and the trees on the land, with its fruits and its flowers, its birds and animals. In the Three Valleys he created flowing streams with their abundant fish. He said to our ancestors, "You may have these valleys for your homes for all generations. I will provide you with deep caves for shelter from the rains, snows and winds of winter. You may eat all of the fruits and berries that I am providing for you, and you may hunt the animals and fish in the streams. In the rocks that border your streams I have supplied you with flints. These you may shape to make stick flints for your hunting, and you may beat them together to kindle your fires, so that you may be warmed in the cold of the winter. But be sure that you treat each other with kindness and welcome the stranger in your midst, sharing all the bounty that I have provided for you. On the day of the year when the sun rises highest in the sky, you shall climb up and assemble on the great sacred rock, which overlooks all three of your valleys. There you are to offer thanks for all you've been given, with gifts of the bounty of the land. Do this and your womenfolk will be fruitful, and you will have sons and daughters to follow you through the generations. In memory of these instructions you shall adorn the walls deep within your homes with the symbols of the Auroch and the other animals. When you hunt them for game, you shall remember that I, the great winged Auroch, have provided them for your sustenance, and give thanks. For generation upon generation, from the mists of time, we've followed these teachings. We've lived in peace and harmony. Every year on the day when the sun rises highest in the sky, we've assembled, as we were instructed, on the great sacred rock that overlooks the Three Valleys. There we make offerings to the great winged Auroch of the first fruits of the year, the edible fern and the strawberry, and consume a sacred meal of one of the year's new Auroch calves. These rituals are made in recognition that we give back to the great winged Auroch a small portion of what we have received from him, in remembrance of his goodness and favour towards us. When the days are long and fruit is plentiful, the sacred artists of our community venture deep into the caves where we sleep at night. In the depths of darkness they make from memory drawings on the walls, images of aurochs and other beasts of the valleys of the great winged Auroch gave us, as he gave us instruction. This skill has been passed down in secret through unnumbered generations of sacred artists. No living eye has ever observed the drawings that have thus been created. One evening, many moons ago, in the hardest days of winter, when the snow lay deep upon the ground, bending to the ground the branches of the great pines, and filling the Three Valleys with silence, strangers appeared in the valley of the great pines. There were 3 men and a woman of an unfamiliar countenance. We called them flatheads from the curious flattened appearance of their foreheads. The newcomers were near death from cold and hunger. Although we could not understand their speaking, it was clear that they depended upon us for delivery from death. Remembering the command of the great winged Auroch to offer hospitality to strangers, we hurried them to our fire in order that they might warm themselves, and we shared our food with them. We brought fresh, dry skins to replace their soaking raiment, whereupon we observed, in addition to their flat heads, the strangers had an equally curious absence of bodily hair. This was confined to their heads, their underarms, and the region of their creating parts. The flat-headed newcomers stayed with us for more than 2 moons, through the harshest part of the winter. And we taught them the skills they needed to live in a land such as ours, sharing all things in common from food to clothing, and indeed to womenfolk. On the day that the sun rose higher than the sun pine, in the season when the aurochs give birth to their calves, the flatheads left us. They told us, for by now we had mastered speech with them, they must return to their own people who lived far away. During succeeding periods of many moons, we encountered flatheads from time to time, visiting our valleys. Their hunters had a weapon different from the stick flints that we used to bring down game by throwing. Their weapon combined a shortened stick flint with a bent stick cord, from which the short stick flint can be projected much greater distances than our own stick flints can be thrown. Gradually, however, the incursions of the flatheads into the 3 valleys became more frequent, and their numbers greater. We found that the flatheads were not the friendly people we had at first imagined when we saved them from death on that initial meeting. They knew nothing of the great winged aurochs' instructions to share, and they soon began to compete with us for the game in the 3 valleys. Also, when they made a kill, they would chase us away rather than sharing the bounty they'd received. They used shouts and arms raised in anger. Raiding parties of male hunters would even enter our encampments and make off with such of our young women as they could capture, even though we had in the past freely shared all with them, including our womenfolk. In recent moons, these hostilities have increased to the point that our people can no longer hunt in the woods and fish in the streams of the 3 valleys in safety. We are now always in danger of surprise attacks. Many of these attacks have had fatal consequences as time has gone by. In the days of the present moons, following the first rise of the sun over the sun pine, our 3 valleys have been invaded by great parties of warriors. Flatheads, armed with stick flints and stick cords. They make great angry noises which frightens away all the game. They've made clear that they intend to attack us. We soon began to fear for our lives. They even directed their short stick flints towards the men of our hunting parties, although at first all our hunters were too far away from their stick flints to reach them. One night, one of our hunting parties far up the Valley of the Red Stones was encamped in the forest under a tent made of auroch skins. In the darkness, according to the one hunter who escaped to tell the tale, a party of flatheads brought burning torches. They set fire to the tent of auroch skins, burning alive all within, save the one who escaped into the darkness of the forest. Since then, many of our number have been ambushed and murdered, including every one of our sacred artists, though they never revealed the nature of their sacred art, nor where it might be found, for fear that it would be destroyed. Our children have been butchered most cruelly and without compassion for their young years. We are now the last of our kind, a small band of men with even fewer women and children. It's clear that the flatheads are intent on nothing short of our complete destruction. Even as I write these words, a huge band of warriors has gathered in the Valley of the Red Stones, ready to launch an attack on the remnant of our auroch people tomorrow. We will not permit ourselves to be slaughtered by outsiders. Tonight is the eve of the day when the sun rises highest in the sky. Tomorrow morning we will climb to the uttermost heights of the great sacred rock that overlooks the 3 valleys, our home from generations unimaginable, as we have done each year on this day. When the first rays of sunlight strike the great sacred rock, we will offer our final incantations to the great winged auroch, giving thanks for all that he's provided for us down the generations. We will offer praise that we've always followed his rules of life, including the command that we should always treat other people with kindness, though this is hard to do towards the flatheads who are intent on our destruction bed. We will then cast ourselves down to our deaths onto the rocks of the riverbed from the height of the great sacred rock, rather than allow ourselves to fall into the hands of the Flatheads, who desire our extermination by beating us to death. Night is nearly over. The first streaks of orange are lighting the eastern sky along the valley of the great pines. This account of the last days of our kind must be hidden away before the sun rises, lest it be destroyed by the Flathead people. Maybe it will be found by others, so they will learn the story of how the Auroch people met their end.